Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to A Backwards Glance. It's time for some more Southern stories from right here in Chambers County. But before we get into the storytelling today, I want to give a little information. I've been getting some texts and some emails about the channel and just kind of an update on what we're doing. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take that time and do that right now. I do have 3 YouTube channels. The first one and the longest tenured channel is a writing channel. It talks about advice, talks about how to publish, gives coaching tips and things of that nature. And the important part I think about that writing channel is it is based on nostalgia. From the first book I wrote to the latest book I wrote, people I grew up with, people I knew back then and that I know now, make up the main characters of every one of my books. My good friend Randy Lindsay's always telling me he knows exactly who he is in every book, and maybe it is that obvious. Some other people, it takes a little more time for them to figure out who they are. But I enjoy doing that, and I have the benefit of being back home after traveling all over the country, relocating 19 times, flying on an airplane about 42 weeks a year on average, all over the U.S. And let me just also say, I'm really glad I don't do that right now. I don't even think I could face that every morning, but I'm retired. I write. We live on a very small 10-acre farm. It was a place that had been basically abandoned for about 5 years. And my wife, Wendy, has done a fantastic job of managing the remodel of the house. She did a great job working with our contractor, and it's been really a great adventure to be here. Our mother-in-law lives in the very back of the property in a house we built for her as well. And we are living large here in the country. My task the first year before we moved here was to rehab the grounds, and it was a little bit overgrown. I spent about a year mucking out the pool, which is a concrete pool, 12 feet deep on the deep end, and 35,000 gallons of water. And we live on a well. Yeah, I had to buy water. It was not fun. And look, when it gets dry, the pool goes down. It's just the way it is. That's just how we live here, and we're okay with it. I made a joke in one of my other videos, YouTube video channels, and it's called Sid's Blue Sky Farm, which is what we named this place, what my son named this place. And I made the joke on the channel that so far this year we've gotten, I think, 5 swim days. We spent hundreds of dollars on chemicals and hours of work in that pool, and I bought 2 robots, a top skimmer and a bottom skimmer. And I was making fun about how the math just doesn't seem to work out. But like I said in that video, if the grandkids like it, the math does not matter. You just make sure it gets done. So that's how we roll here. So there is an example of channel number 2. And of course, this channel is called A Backwards Glance, and it also feeds into my real enjoyment of nostalgia. I drive around the county. I drive around the surrounding areas with my iPad doing videos and taking pictures that I use on the other channels. And I will do that on this channel in the very near future. I want to just kind of get us established a base of what we're going to do and maybe get some followers, and then we'll start doing some on location stuff. We'll start talking about some places and where some people might have lived that you remember if you're a resident of Chambers County or if you spent some time with any of us from Chambers County. My wife is always laughing at my stories, and she is constantly surprised when I take her to a place that I've told her some crazy story, and she looks at me and she goes, it actually exists. This was possible. And I tell her, yeah, I always tell you stories that really happened. So, well, not always, but most of the time. And the final thing I wanted to mention here is just, again, a YouTube channel, and I'm wearing the hat. This is the ID from the other channel, and it's called Chambers Academy Sports Live. And along with 2 great friends, I'm a part of a broadcast team. We do the coverage of Chambers Academy sports, and we primarily cover football. My friend Chet does a lot of the volleyball coverage, and he does the softball coverage and basketball. I don't do any of those. That's not my thing. And I try to do baseball. He has daughters, so he's usually on the softball field. I go up and cover the baseball field, and I really enjoy baseball. Those of you who know me know I have two sports loves. That is football number one and baseball. Football number one and baseball number two. So I enjoy our time. We have a great team, and we've been lucky. We're playing for our third state championship in a row. And wow, it's been a great ride. And we work with incredibly good coaches who are genuinely generous and good to us. We work with a great school staff, and we also have fantastic young people that we work with in all these sports. So life is pretty good. The question that always comes up is, there's two questions. Why do you write? And why do you have 3 YouTube channels? Well, I could snarkily say, if you have to ask the question, you'll never understand the answer. But I won't do that here. I'll just try to explain those. I write because it's really freeing for me. It opens up my ability to just tell stories, create stories, and I typically now am writing fiction, a lot of crime fiction. I just finished a book a couple days ago. I'm working on a Civil War fictional book, but in the middle of that, I decided to write a 125-page book, about 26,000 words, because it just felt right. I did a YouTube video, and it was titled, I Wrote a Book and Found Myself. And the more I thought about that, I really realized that writing my first book really helped me find out who I was, and it answered some really tough questions for me. It answered some questions about my relationships with my parents, but more specifically with my dad. We had like a lot of boys do, we had a difficult relationship early on that became very solid and very good. And I was very fortunate to get that before he passed away. So that's one of the reasons. I am driven by nostalgia. I don't think the past necessarily was better. Some people really believe it was. There are things that are going on now that I really wish we had had back then. Some things exactly the opposite I wish we didn't have now that we didn't have then. But anyway, it doesn't matter because you can wish as much as you want to. And it's not going to happen because change is coming and you have to embrace it. But I love recalling the simpler days. I love just thinking about how things used to be. And, where we lived, the train, the people, the way the town looked, the old movie theater that we're trying to rehabilitate, renovate, I guess is the right word. Things like that help me in my writing, and it's a very good cathartic thing for me. I enjoy that release and that mind challenge to do the research and sit down and use the discipline to write. The YouTube world, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I like to talk. I enjoy talking about writing, and I do have a true heartfelt sense of wanting to help other people. When I first started writing, I didn't know anything. I just sat down and started writing. And I got a lot of advice from a very highly awarded, famous author. His name is Michael Chore. He's written 13 or 14 New York Times bestsellers. And he and I just had a brief email exchange one day. And his advice was, if you want to be a great writer, sit down and write. And it was just that simple. I try to offer writing advice with examples that cover the basics. Discipline, writing a lot, letting yourself be creative, edit, rewrite, and revise. And then I always harp on people, never, ever try to self-edit your work. Send it to an editor. You're a writer, they're editors. That's how that works. And I always say, buy a professional cover, because why would you put a crappy cover on a book you spent so much time working on? That's kind of the way I look at that entire situation. And look, writing, I am working on books 8 and 9, and number 10 has been started. I just am taking a little break from it because I got tired of the subjects, but I'll go back to them. Well, anyway, that's the update. That I hope will kind of clue the questioner in on who I am. Most people around here who follow this channel know me, know us, as well as we know them. But maybe one day this channel will evolve and it will have a broader following. That'll be just fine. And if it doesn't, that'll be just fine too. Shout out to all my friends who follow the channel. Shout out to Sandy Martin, once again, who's doing an awful lot of work with the museum and with historical pieces about Lafayette and Chambers County. Now let's get that one story. We have about 4 minutes left over. I can get a story here in our YouTube time limit today. The story goes back to the city of Lafayette and my favorite person in the world at that time, my cousin Bob. So Bob and I were riding motorcycles. We were all over the place. Had the freedom to go and come as we pleased, and we were typically pretty good about managing ourselves. Well, now it becomes like this time of year, Halloween. And for some reason, Bob and I decided to find, I don't know if we bought them or someone gave them to us, a paper bag full of M80s. And that's a really big fireworks. And we decided we were going to shoot the fireworks. But instead of just throwing them out on the ground and watching them explode, we wanted to do something big. We wanted to make a statement with the M80s. And we were really smart kids. We were really smart. We got on our motorcycles about 9 o'clock at night in the summer. My parents were okay if I would be back by 10. We went downtown. Downtown's dead. Nobody's there. In front of the courthouse, they had cut the tops off the parking meters. I guess they were going to open up the parking for free, no more meters. So it was a tube. It looked just like an artillery piece. So of course, we decided we would put soda cans on top of the open post, drop an M80 in it, and watch it launch them. Well, it did. We light the M80. Bob would set the can on top of it. Boom. It would shoot those cans almost as high as the Lady of Justice holding the torch or whatever she's holding on top of the courthouse. Well, we were having great fun. I mean, we probably fired 5 or 6 of these things off, and we didn't think anything about it. It never crossed our mind that at our location, just across from the theater on the corner of the courthouse property, we were maybe 120, 140 yards from the police department. That's right. Downtown in Lafayette, 9:30 at night, 140 yards from the police station. Well, it didn't take very long, and Deputy Hubbard, most of you around here will remember the deputy, he came riding up, and he was not happy with us. And I mean, I don't think I've ever dealt with him in his official capacity when he was happy, but it turned out to be a good guy. But he really was hot with us. He thought it was pretty arrogant as well as incredibly stupid to be doing what we were doing. He was, of course, right on both counts. So he decided to take us. He let us ride back to the police station with him, go inside, and he phoned our homes. I can tell you, he let us go from there. He talked to our parents and let us go. I think the conversation was, I'm Officer Hubbard, and I have your son at the police station. Might have been the worst words my parents have ever heard. And when I got home, I'm going to tell you, it's 2 things. My mother was crying, met me at the door, and told me how disappointed she was in me. That one hurt. That one stung pretty bad. Then my dad, for one of the few times in our relationship, our lives together, he whipped my butt. I mean, he tore me up with a leather belt, and he didn't spare anything. He didn't have a lot of conversation. He just said, stand there. And I did. And I got about 5 or 6 pretty good whacks, and they lasted. I think I felt those a couple days later. So the point of this is my cousin Bob and I could do some really strange things. And if he watches this, I want him to know how much I love him. My life would have been much more empty had it not been for my buddy. Hope you guys enjoy the story and the little background recount. Take care until we see you again. Bye-bye.